Happy Thanksgiving, Saints fans, and welcome into the Saints postgame show presented by Verizon. I'm Caroline Gonzalez, joined here by John DeShazier. We'll be joined in a little bit by Sean Payton and Drew Brees. It was a happy Thanksgiving for the New Orleans Saints as they defeated the Atlanta Falcons 31-17. JD, stop me when I tell you a defensive player who didn't have a sack today. Sheldon Rankins, Cameron Jordan, PJ Williams. Who else? We had Demario Davis. We had numerous Saints players with sacks, and we also had numerous Saints players with big defensive stops tonight.
Yeah, easily their best defensive game of the season. And we're talking about a Falcons team that scored 37 on the Saints in Week 3 in Atlanta to hold them down to 17, and not just hold them to 17, but to do so in such a dominant fashion. 6 sacks, 4 forced turnovers, including an interception and 3 fumble recoveries. Really a phenomenal showing by the Saints. Defensively, they didn't have it going and clicking offensively. The Falcons actually did a decent job defensively against the Saints offense, but it didn't really matter because of what the Saints defense was able to do. They took away a couple in the red zone, stripped Matt Ryan around the goal line, stripped Calvin Ridley at the goal line. So they were able to do some really big things to keep the Falcons off the scoreboard. And we know Sean Payton had been saying they wanted to play better defense in the red zone. I think he got what he wanted today.
You said in your pregame show that the Saints keep playing better and are more impressive each and every week. Did you see that performance tonight out of the Saints?
Well, certainly defensively. Now, offensively, I'm sure they're going to say there was a lot of things that they want to do better because they scored 31. But it wasn't the type 31 that they like to see. It wasn't as clean as they like to see. The running game worked well, but the passing game got shut down a little bit, even though Drew Brees ends up with 4 touchdown passes. That's funny to say. He got 4 touchdown passes, and the passing game got shut down some. But they didn't put up the astronomical numbers that we're accustomed to seeing. But defensively, they can't have any qualms about what they were able to see today and what they happened to do on the field.
Absolutely. Matt Ryan, their quarterback, was their leading rusher tonight, and we knew the Saints were going to have to work on the Falcons' offense passing game, especially with this improved Saints secondary. But you have to be happy if you're the Saints defense, as you said.
Yeah, they probably take over the number 1 spot in run defense again by allowing the Falcons to, I think, around 20 rushing yards. They did everything they wanted to do against the run. You take it away, you make a team one-dimensional, and then they were able to force a couple of turnovers, and especially forcing those turnovers in the red zone. The first one of the game where Matt Ryan gets stripped by Marcus Williams, who recovers that fumble, turned out to be huge because it looks like the Falcons are about to tie the game, and the Saints are able to get a takeaway in that instance. You can't really quantify takeaways. The Saints are +3 in that department today. Now they're +8 for the season, making huge things happen in that department.
It's hard to say, it's hard to break down this Saints offense and say what they did wrong. As you said, they put 31 points up on the board. It's not a terrible night for them, but for this powerful Saints offense, everything wasn't exactly clicking. How did the Atlanta Falcons defense affect the Saints offense?
Well, I think they did the best job this season of being able to take away Michael Thomas. Tre'Quan Smith didn't play in this game as a wide receiver, so that took away really the Saints' number 2 receiver. But I think the Falcons did a really good job of bracketing Michael Thomas and really kind of taking away the things that he does best for a defense. Now they've seen for an offense. Now they've seen Michael Thomas really rake them across the coals a couple of games, so they knew to force it into somebody else's hands. And the Saints got some big touchdown passes to Dan Arnold and to Keith Kirkwood. So Drew Brees still able to spread it around and get some results, but he wasn't quite as efficient. Now I'll say he wasn't quite as efficient. He completed about 68% of his passes, but we're used to seeing 75+%. So he didn't get it done from that standpoint, and yet he'll tell you himself winning the game is the most important thing, and that's exactly what the Saints did. And now they get a full week to get ready for Dallas.
One defensive player that I saw tonight that I really want to highlight is Alex Anzalone. We've seen him come up huge, especially in the last 2 weeks. He had a forced fumble tonight before the half, and then coming out of the half, he had a stop on defense as well. He's done tremendous for the Saints defense.
Yeah, he's coming on strong. We saw some flashes of it last season, but certainly he's come on stronger this season.
I have to interrupt you to go to head coach Sean Payton in our press conference.
You know, obviously when you play on this day and you play the night game, it's not like you have that full day at all to – I mean, you're really getting ready for the game. But I was proud of how our guys played. Obviously, the turnovers were significant, the rushing numbers, all the things that, you know, that lead to winning or keep you from winning, I felt were on display tonight. Proud of our defense, thought we ran the ball well, and it was a good win, good division win. Any questions? Yeah, it's good news. We played some good offenses. Cincinnati's good offense. Shoot, the Eagles are a good offense. I feel like we're playing a complementary game relative to time of possession, third downs, all of those things, and tonight was no different. Man, a lot of it's effort and belief. We had 4 of them, so, one right down on the half-yard line. Not getting ready to rank. Nope. Go ahead, Ed.
Just the collection of young talent that you have on this defense.
Is it the what?
One of the better ones you've had since you've been here.
We'll see. Next question.
With your rush defense right now, do you feel like going into games you have just the way you feel?
Look, it certainly helps when you can hold an opponent to 20-some yards. It helps. When you know what's coming if they're one-dimensional, and that was the case tonight.
Is this defense a good example of Leo's that you say about confidence coming from demonstrated ability? Is that something you saw happen in the last 6 weeks or whatever?
Well, look, I think it's a good question. I think that we're constantly talking about improvement or going the other way, and I think you can think it and you can want it and hope for it, but you have to at some point demonstrate it. And when you do that, then there's actual moments where you can see a young player gain confidence because of maybe he covered a kick a right way, or maybe he fit the run the right way, and then he believes he can do it and he starts doing it over and over again. But I think that we're playing better, and we've still got work to do, but that's encouraging.
A couple weeks ago, you were saying that the red zone defense is concerning yours, and tonight you had 3 turnovers in the red zone.
Yeah, it was significant. I thought just holding them to a field goal after our turnover was a big possession.
What do you think it says about this group tonight and 4 undrafted guys not touching?
I don't know. I didn't realize that. I don't think we really pay attention to it. We're focused on the opponent and the plan, who's healthy, how we're going to, get guys involved. What are the things that they do well, and let's ask them to do those things. And I think obviously Drew is someone who's very confident, in the preparation and confident in the players around him. There's a lot that goes into that, and all of a sudden you have a few big plays like we had tonight.
On that note, Drew thrown touchdown passes to 13 different guys here before he gets the
Well, look, it's been a lot of different players, tight ends. You're always hoping to stay healthy, and yet we don't live in that world in this league, and so that's encouraging. And I'm excited for those guys that got opportunities, and we'll keep working to get better.
Well, you guys have so much success running between the tackles. It seems like there's a lot of stuff up the middle.
Yeah, listen, sometimes it's a 6-7 hole play that cuts up. Sometimes it's outside. But I thought we played well up front. Right from the start, we ran a simple power scheme for a big gain. I think you credit Atlanta, and I say that they're dealing with a lot of injuries on defense, and they're playing without a lot of guys that have been really the heartbeat of that defense. Captains, Pro Bowl players, guys that we actually had a chance to coach last year, and that's those are big losses.
Obviously, it's a big division game for you guys, and maybe this is a stretch, but they've got the same stadium name as you. They're hosting the Super Bowl. You just beat them now. Are you guys even talking Super Bowl or looking at it like that?
No, not at all. Only because there's just so much football here. It's a division opponent. Certainly, I don't know. In our league, rivalry is not the good word for it, but two teams that have a long storied history of playing each other. They've been in, what was the NFC West for a while. Now it's the NFC South, and We've always had good competitive games, tough games, but we're way shorter focused right now, rather than extended like that, and I think that served us well. Every week I hear someone say, "Well, they're getting ready to hit the tough stretch of their schedule," and shoot, all these games are tough, starting with trips to Baltimore, trips to Minnesota, the Rams. I mean, the focus for us is the next game. We play a week from now. We'll be on a normal week schedule. People ask about tickets. It's always like, hey, text me the week of. I couldn't tell you who we play 3 weeks from now, and that's the way it should be. We're focused. We're focused on this game, and now we'll have to get ready to play a real good Dallas team who's playing well, who's really playing well in the last 3 weeks. I think pretty significant. Look, anytime you have a turnover, when they're in a threatening position, you can just do the numbers, do the math. And if you hold them to a field goal on third down, it's a 4-point play. If you get a turnover, it's a potentially 7-point play.
Coach, in the past, you've had these 2 games in 5 days where you've lost them both and it's been demoralizing. How is it when you win 2 games in 5 days like this?
I'm trying to reference the games you're talking about. I mean, obviously, we haven't played on a lot of home Thursday night games, but anyway, look, it was a good win.
Did you ever get a point in the game tonight where you felt like your defense was kind of in control and felt comfortable?
Two weeks in a row, we've played teams that you have tremendous respect for their firepower and their ability to score. And when you play those teams, I don't know that you ever quite get comfortable because, I've just seen it happen. I've been a part of it in one playoff game in San Francisco, really. And I think that I was very comfortable when they were checking the ball down and throwing it underneath with the clock being on our side. I was expecting maybe, we were concerned about, the quick strike plays with their skill players. And so I thought we handled that well. But, just like last week, those teams can score fast. I thought that was real important. It becomes a tough job when you're just throwing on every down, and he's an extremely talented player. Well, part of it was how we were playing coverage, and so a lot of it had to do with that. This year's, I think. I feel like in the last 6 weeks, he's made some of those steps that we were just talking about, and he's beginning to think that each week, he has those opportunities. So I'm pleased with how he's playing. All right, thanks.
I don't know about you, JD, but I am very thankful for Sean Payton's press conferences. They always put a smile on my face.
Well, he's pretty thankful for what his defense was able to do today. Again, he referenced it. When you're able to force 4 turnovers and you collect 6 sacks and you make a team one-dimensional, then you know what's coming, and you're able to better be able to stop it. Yes, Atlanta ends up with 300-plus passing yards, but it certainly was not an impactful 300-plus passing yards.
Absolutely. Well, you look at the division, the Panthers and Bucks play on Sunday. The Panthers are 6-4 and the Bucks are 3-7. But first up for the Saints, or next week for the Saints, 1 week from today, they'll play the Dallas Cowboys, who are now first in the NFC East.
Well, that falls in line with what the Saints have been doing all season, it seems like. Each team they play outside of Atlanta today has been in either first or second place in the division. Baltimore was. Minnesota was. The Rams were. Last week, the Eagles were kind of battling around that top spot in the NFC East. So they've handled a lot of adversity in terms of playing top-notch teams. So you don't think they're going to look ahead or anything like that, because they've done a really good job of compartmentalizing. They've taken each game one at a time. I know teams always say that's what they want to do. It's got to be hard to do, especially when you're on a winning streak. Now they're up to 10 straight, but they're proving they're taking each game as an individual unit.
Well, it's going to be hard, especially to take each game as a unit when you're going on the road for 3 games straight for the first time since 2011. That's going to be difficult for the Saints.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult, but they've handled a lot of difficult things this season. And plus, again, they have the incentive. They know Dallas is playing well. And the biggest thing is the Saints know right now they can't afford to lose because of the Rams' position. The Rams won't lose and won't crawl back a little bit and give them some breathing room and give them any wiggle room, so to speak. So they have to continue to win because they want to continue to have that tie break. They want each and every playoff game they play outside of potentially the Super Bowl to be here in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Only way to do that is to win the NFC conference, and the NFC. And the only way to do that is to stay ahead of the Rams. So you got to be able to do that in terms of your record. Both of them have 1 loss, so they look at the standings and they see that, and they understand they got to keep winning.
It seems to me like the Saints have found their identity more and more each week. We heard Drew Brees say last week to the young guys, listen, you're going to be wide open. Michael Thomas is getting double teamed, so be ready for the ball. And today we saw Austin Carr get a touchdown. We saw Keith Kirkwood get a touchdown. We saw Dan Arnold. So we're hitting a lot of other targets, and it seems like the Saints offense is off to new heights.
Yeah, they're extremely adaptable. They've been that way throughout Drew Brees' tenure here. He really has had some outstanding receivers, Marcus Colston, now Michael Thomas, Lance Moore. But he's never been a guy who says, okay, we're going to force feed the ball to a guy for an entire game. If you get open, Drew Brees is going to find you, and he's going to throw it to you. So he's getting these undrafted free agent rookie-type guys like Dan Arnold and like Austin Carr. He's getting those guys more confident, getting them involved, saying, look, if you're out here for a reason, and I trust you. And he shows it by throwing it to him, and they have to reciprocate by making plays for him, and they've been able to do it.
Absolutely. Again, if you're just joining us, Drew Brees will be joining us from the press conference room here shortly. The New Orleans Saints defeated the Atlanta Falcons tonight on Thanksgiving Day, 31-17. JD, paint the picture for me for the NFC South. Is it too early to say that the Saints have run away with the NFC South?
Well, yeah, it is, because still there's 2 games left to play against Carolina. Now, there are 3 games clear in the loss column, but there's 2 games left against Carolina. So, hypothetically, Carolina could sweep those games. The Saints could lose another game, and then if you're tied with them, then they win the head-to-head. So, everything still needs to be tidied up just a little bit, and they still have a lot of work to do. Got to go to Dallas and see if they can win that game. Going to have to go to Carolina for a tough road game. Going to have Pittsburgh here. Going to have Carolina back here. So there are some tough games to play down the stretch. So it's too early to call the race, but look, the Saints certainly see the finish line. And worst case scenario, they want to win the division. You win the division, you guarantee yourself a home playoff game, and certainly you guarantee yourself that playoff spot. So that's worst case scenario. You want to win the division. Best case, they want to finish up at least tied or ahead of the Rams to have that number 1 seed.
Absolutely. If you're Sean Payton and Drew Brees throughout this next week, what are you preparing for against the Dallas Cowboys?
Well, if I'm Dallas, I'm going to look at this game film and I'm going to say, okay, I'm willing to take my chances the same way. Now, Dallas has an outstanding cornerback. I think it's Byron Jones. They might want to match him up one-on-one against Michael Thomas. That hadn't worked so well for people. I would probably say, okay, I'm going to take the ball out of Michael Thomas's hands. I'm going to see if some of these other young receivers can come through for the Saints. Now maybe Traquan Smith is back by then. Maybe Brandon Marshall is ready to contribute by then. But certainly I want to see if I can get it out of Michael Thomas's hands. The Saints have shown themselves capable of running the ball. But you have to see if you can make them run the ball. You got to see if you can take that ball out of Drew Brees' hands. Drew Brees right now, 29 touchdown passes, 2 interceptions. That is a phenomenal record-setting pace in terms of a ratio. So you want to see if you can get the ball out of his hands, force him to have to throw it to those young guys, see if those young guys can make plays.
We saw Mark Ingram play the Atlanta Falcons tonight for the first time this season because in the first game he was off for his suspension. What is a difference maker for the Saints team when they have Mark Ingram?
Well, they've got 2 they're equally balanced running game. Mark can pop it inside or outside, and Alvin Kamara is also capable of doing those things. But Mark gives you the sledgehammer. Also, he
Boom
gives you
and
a
zoom,
guy,
right?
Yeah, and he gives you a guy who when you don't have him, now Alvin Kamara is phenomenal in a lot of ways, but Mark Ingram has been in this offense longer, and he is phenomenal in terms of pass protection, blitz pickup, those kinds of things. He runs the screen pass better than anybody in the league for my money. So, when you lose him and you don't have him, you lose that dimension. Again, they were really good offensively when he would miss those first 4 games. But Alvin Kamara took a tremendous pounding during those games. He had a lot of touches, and a lot of those touches would have gone to Mark Ingram.
Well, JD, no offense, but I think people are probably tired of hearing you and I talk about the game. Let's see some of the highlights from tonight's game.
It was so good last week, as Michelle told you earlier. Alvin Kamara begins out of the gate. Gets it from the 28. Here is Brees with time. End zone shot. They are down. Touchdown.
All right, Mike.
Ryan looked that way. Lost the ball. Still free. Bottom of the pile. We'll see if the Falcons got on it. Saints think they down to Orleans. And Brees, play action. End zone wide open for the walk-in touch. Final 25 seconds. And Ryan throws underneath Jones using the speed. Julio across the 20. Ball is out. It's free. And the Saints at 37. Brees doing it at 39. Going up top. And it's caught by. He's going. 2.5 gone by in the 4th. And Ryan has the pass deflected in the air, and A.J. Klein comes up with the interception.
Matched up against the linebacker.
Brees goes, other side, Kirkwood.
JD, I tried to do the Sheldon shimmy last week on the post-game show, and I made a fool out of myself. So I won't try it again tonight, but what has been the difference for Sheldon Rankins between last year and this year?
Well, one, he's more of a study. He's learned the game a little bit more. He says it slowed down for him. He's developed a power rush that really has been able to dominate interior offensive linemen. It's phenomenal what he's able to do in terms of pushing grown men back into their quarterback's laps. And then he's got a spin move. He said he learned that playing basketball. Now, imagine Sheldon Rankin now. He's 305 pounds now, but he wasn't always that size. But he's a guy who's got a really nice spin move. He's developed as a pass rusher. Now he's up to 7 sacks for a season. Temporarily led the team in sacks until Cam Jordan caught him and passed him in this game also. But he's given the Saints that interior pass rush that they thought they were getting a couple of years ago when they drafted him. And we saw some of it. He had 4 sacks in an abbreviated season. Only played 8 games in his rookie season because of a broken leg. So we saw some of it. Then last year he only had 2 sacks. Wasn't able to really get to the passer as much. But certainly this year he has been a demon on the inside in terms of applying pressure, and we've seen it time and time again here these last several weeks.
Now, Atlanta Falcons were dominant tonight in the passing game compared to their rushing game, but we have seen the Saints secondary improve a lot, especially P.J. Williams, Marshawn Lattimore, the addition of Eli Apple. What has been the biggest change? Is it just comfortability, or is it adjusting to the opponent?
Well, they said a lot of it has to do with communication, guys knowing where they're supposed to be, where their help is coming from, and you see it. Even though, again, they got into a situation where the Falcons basically had to throw it every down because they couldn't run it. So you're going to run up some numbers that way. But you look at the big thing is how many points do you allow? Are you able to get to the quarterback? Are you able to get turnovers from the quarterback? They got 2 big turnovers out of Matt Ryan today. That lost fumble he had was huge. Then he throws an interception. Tyler Davidson with a nice tip. A.J. Klein with the pick. And so those are the numbers that they look at and say, okay, we'll take the 300-plus passing yards, but we keep them out of the end zone. We get a couple of turnovers off of them. Those are the huge numbers that you're looking for.
Well, we heard Drew Brees say tonight that his favorite Thanksgiving Day meal was his grandmother's applesauce. And I guess he's eating it in the locker room right now because he's taking forever to come out to this press conference. But we will get him here shortly. Again, the New Orleans Saints defeat the Atlanta Falcons 31-17, and we go to Drew Brees in the press conference.
Go ahead. It's Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I got family waiting. Let's roll. Yeah, love it. It was awesome. They were amped up. Man, defense fed off of it. Defense played tremendous today against a really explosive offense. Got 4 turnovers. So it was obviously a huge stat in the game. But just the energy and the emotion on Thanksgiving Day was great.
Drew, what does it say about the way this team is now built that you can throw for less than 200 yards and still win the game?
Listen, when defense plays like that, and we're getting 5 yards of rush like we did today, man, those are all great things, and so for me as a quarterback, it's still about, managing the game in the best way that I can. And, if opportunities for big plays, we make them. Convert third downs. We got to possess the ball so we can, put together good drives, go score points, and play that complementary brand of football.
Talk about the collection of teams you have, really good young players on defense. What do you mean for this franchise?
Yeah. Well, each week, I think especially over the last, 3 weeks, you've seen just a level of confidence and growth and maturity. I think out of some, young players, really on both sides of the ball, stepping into roles, getting significant playing time, really having to contribute in a big way. And they've just continued to get better and better, and I think there's confidence that's building with that too, and so you just feel like we're scratching the surface.
You practice against it every day. You can really see it, right?
What's that?
I said you practice against it every day. I mean, you can really.
Yeah, are you talking about our young guys on defense? Yeah. Listen, they're playing with a ton of confidence and a swagger and, just a belief. Yeah, I heard that stat. I love that stat. That's actually one of my favorite ones. It says a lot about them. It says a lot about taking advantage of the opportunity and stepping up when we need it. We're down some receivers from the beginning of the year until now, and these guys are having to step into some roles and do some things that maybe were unexpected, and yet. It's just a growth process. It's fun to watch them grow and gain confidence and, build a chemistry, which, typically takes time, right? But they've been thrust into this role. And so, especially on a short week, this was a challenge, just as you put together the plan and you start thinking about matchups and, these are all things that, I think keep me up at night, as I'm thinking about from play to play, it's moving the ball and finding that matchup and, young guys stepping up and making the play. But man, to have those four guys, I guess Austin Carr, Dan Arnold, Tommy Lee Lewis, and Keith Kirkwood, right? All of them to play the way they did, each get a touchdown on Thanksgiving Day. All their family and friends watching at home. It's pretty cool. Yeah, listen, it was great. It was a great catch. He had just a seam route. He beat the guy. It was one of these where you put it out in front of him, and he's a big target. So he went up and pulled it down. Really made a great play. He came up and he had told me earlier. Said he wanted to make up for the one that happened at the goal line. The third down where the guy knocked it out. He said I never should have let that guy knock it out of my hands. So he held on to that one.
What does it say to win 2 games in 5 days?
Yeah. This is challenge, obviously. Going into that Philly game, we knew, basically we're going to play 3 games in, about 11 days, right? So Philly, Atlanta, and then we go to Dallas a week from now. So, listen, that's tough to do, So guys got to be really, really diligent with getting their bodies, ready to turn around in 4 days and play. And then obviously now turn around in 7 days and play. But I think guys just, stayed very focused. Very diligent. We had a good plan this week for how we were going to come out and play this game, and now we're going to have to put together another good plan to go to Dallas.
Give a little perspective on what it's like to be in this current, whatever you guys are in. That's really good. What's it like to be in there?
Well, listen, it's fun. We're having fun. We enjoy being around each other. We enjoy going to work. We work hard, and when it's time to work, we work. And we understand that it's the preparation during the week and it's the work during the week that allows us to go out and play this way on Sunday and play with the type of confidence we're playing with. It's fun to find different ways to win, right? It's fun when you come out and, hey, defense gets 4 turnovers and you have 4 undrafted guys catch touchdowns, right? That's fun because when is that, it's been a while since any of that stuff happened. And so you just keep finding new ways to win. You keep finding guys that step up and make the plays. And then you begin to envision, how this thing is going to look, next week and the week after. And just as you continue to build on what we've established. Yes?
Since we played before and I before, what was your confidence level of the general team? Confidence level and
Well, I mean, we felt like we obviously go into every game feeling like we want to run the ball. We want to be balanced. We got a nice lead there in the third quarter, but still knowing how explosive they are, they can score at will. And so, for us, it was about possessing the ball, controlling the clock, getting points, getting touchdowns when we could. Listen, anytime you can rush 5 yards a pop, I think we were 31 rushes for $150, something like that. So those are good rushing numbers. All good? All right, guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, shoot. Well, I know every Saints fan is thankful for that man right there. And, JD, I have to say I'm thankful for you today.
That is so sweet.
I know.
I don't know if I've heard that from anybody all day long, so I'll take that and run with it.
Thanks. All right, Saints fans. Well, if you're don't miss out on the football going on this weekend. The Panthers play the Seahawks this Sunday at 1 p.m. along with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers playing the 49ers at 1 p.m. So that'll be some NFC South action for Saints fans tonight. JD, thank you for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. I appreciate your analysis because, they're trying to kick us out with this guy mowing the turf back here. And I know you can't mow turf, so don't comment on that. I know you can't do that, but they're trying to kick us out. So for the Saints Postgame Show, I'm Caroline Gonzalez alongside John DeShazier. Thanks for joining us for the Saints Postgame Show presented by Verizon, and have a happy Thanksgiving.